further. So how we can implement the core data functionality, right? You just created a project and it states that it has core data enabled. But what next? So all our managed objects live inside a managed object context actually. So we need to like declare a property which has this kind of name. It would be like a managed object context, which is a predefined Swift value. So you don't really need to make up something. If you just start typing, it would come up, and I would show it to you as well, like how does it come up, like what you should start with. And this is what is responsible for saving the changes. So like when you will create a variable using this type, right, you would give it some name. Suppose you would give it the name art. I think I wrote the wrong spelling. Yeah. So when we need to delete something, then we would call art. When we need to save something, we would attach it with it. And that's simply how it would work. And we can save and delete items from the permanent storage. So this is how essentially it works. And you need to declare this manage context object in every view that you are using, in every view. While we would be writing our code, you would understand it more. You just need to create it as an environment object at the very top of the struct. That's essentially how it works. So that is why we would use the environment property wrapper. And one most important thing that I need to tell you, like this is also really important. When we would be writing the code to show inside our UI, we would actually declare everything as optional. So we would use ternary operator and give it some other value if the first case is not true. You know how it goes like. So this is the reason that core data by default has this property of declaring everything as optional. There's a way to remove this optionality, but it's quite complicated, and I don't think a lot you would like it for now as a total beginner. So it's obvious that when we would be writing text, suppose we would be using the text property, then we would use the operator and give it some other value like null instead if this comes out to be optional. I guess you are getting the point. So these are the few things that you need to keep in mind while working with core data. Otherwise it's all really easy, like using other properties. You will get to know and you would understand how cool it is to use core data since it stores your stuff. So you can use a local authentication using touch ID or face ID, and then you can use core data to make your app like really secure and function like a really cool app. Like that's how real apps work. They use some kind of authentication to distinguish their users, and then they just, you see, they would be able to access their data, which is actually permanently stored into the device. And yes, that's a good user behavior and everything, and obviously that's how real apps work. So understanding core data is really important for your iOS developer career. So let's code more in the further videos and understand it more in a better way.